Playing with Power MTG. Powerful cards, powerful formats. Before we get into tonight's game, I wanted to talk about this video's sponsor, Magic Spoon. Magic Spoon offers a deliciously nostalgic, high-protein, no-sugar cereal for breakfast. However, did you also know that Magic Spoon also carries treats? Their treats are keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, contain no artificial colors or sweeteners, and contain only 1 gram of sugar and 12 grams of protein. Magic Spoon's treats are crispy, crunchy, and airy without the chewy stickiness of a protein bar. Their treats fit a variety of diets with high protein, no sugar, and 1 to 2 grams of net carbs. They are great for carb-conscious lifestyles. They have flavors such as double chocolate, blueberry muffin, marshmallow, and my personal favorite, chocolate peanut butter. They also have brand new high-protein granola that keeps the Magic Spoon promise. They contain 13 grams of protein and 0 added sugar in delicious flavors like honey almond and peanut butter. At the end of a long day, I'm beat, and I'll be honest with you, I don't eat super well when I'm watching TV. Magic Spoon's treats have helped me snack while laying on the couch without the guilt of other less healthy options. So try out Magic Spoon's treats and granola today. Use my code PWPMTG or click on the link in the description to try Magic Spoon treats or granola today and get $5 off. You can also find Magic Spoon on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed by a 100% happiness guarantee online. So if you don't like it for any reason, they will refund your money, no questions asked. So click on the link in the description or go to magicspoon.com/PWPMTG or scan the QR code on the screen for $5 off. When you support our sponsors, this helps bring you more content just like tonight's game. So thanks again to Magic Spoon for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's start out by showcasing our fighters this evening. First, we have Matt from Lemora's Cards, piloting Plagon, Lord of the Beach. This deck attempts to cast and flicker its commander over and over, gaining massive card advantage. It then assembles a number of overly convoluted Azorius win cons to win the game. Next we have Jay, also known as DefCat, piloting Najeela the Blade Blossom. This deck uses its commander to pressure opponents' life totals. It then wins with infinite combats or a number of other compact win cons like Thrasios Oracle or Underworld Breach. After that we have Kyle, piloting the partner pair of Thrasios Triton Hero and Bruse Taro Boorish Herder. This deck leverages compact and layered combos to help achieve infinite mana. It then sinks it into Thrasios, draws its deck, and wins the game. Finally we have Pearson, piloting the partner pair of Krark the Thumbless and Thrasios Triton Hero. This deck seeks to gain advantage with the use of its commanders. It then attempts to kill the table with boredom, trying to storm off with Krark before everyone concedes and argues why Krark should be on the Game Changers list. This video would not be possible without all of the support of our sponsors, including viewers like you on Patreon. If you want to help support this content, be sure to check out the links below. You can also support us for free by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and telling us why Krark isn't frustrating to play against in the customer complaint section below. Without further ado, let's kick off this cute custom creative creation. Matt won the beauty pageant and gets to start us off. Matt draws a card for turn and plays a Tundra. He casts a Mox Amber and passes. Jay draws and plays a Flooded Strand. He cracks it, pays a life, and fetches up a tropical island onto the battlefield. He casts a Wild Growth and passes the turn. Kyle draws and plays a tropical island of his own. He casts a Chrome Mox, imprinting into the Flood Maw. He casts his commander, Thrasios Triton Hero. He ships the turn. Pearson draws and plays a Flooded Strand. He cracks it, pays a life, and fetches up a tropical island as well onto the battlefield. He casts a Birds of Paradise and ends his turn. Matt draws and plays a Mana Confluence. He taps it to help cast Soulless Jailer. The table pauses to read what that card does, and Matt gives the turn to Jay. Jay draws and plays a Marsh Flats. He cracks it, pays a life, and fetches up a Badlands onto the battlefield. He casts his commander, Najeela the Blade Blossom. Jay passes the turn to Kyle. Kyle draws and plays a Mana Confluence. He taps it to help cast Feyburrow Elder. Kyle passes. Pearson draws and plays a Gaia's Cradle. He casts Mockingbird, where X equals 2. It enters as a copy of Feyburrow Elder. Pearson passes. Matt draws and casts a Mana Ball. He taps Mana Confluence to help cast his commander, Plagon, Lord of the Beach. It enters and Matt draws 2 cards. He plays a Gemstone Caverns and ships the turn. Jay draws and plays a Volcanic Island. He casts Fire Covenant, paying 11 life, targeting all creatures except Soulless Jailer. The table deliberates on whether or not they should counter this, and Jay states that he is willing to fight over it. Then in response, Matt casts Banishing Knack, targeting Soulless Jailer. Still in response, Matt taps Soulless Jailer through Banishing Knack to bounce Plagon back to his hand. Then Covenant resolves, wiping most of the board. He moves to combat and attacks Matt with Najeela. Najeela triggers and Jay creates a warrior tapped and attacking Matt. Matt takes it and Jay ships the turn. Kyle draws, takes no actions, and passes. Pearson draws and pays 2 life to cast Jataxian Probe, targeting Jay. He looks at Jay's hand and draws a card. He passes. During his draw step, Matt takes the damage through his Mana Vault. In his main phase, he taps his Mana Confluence to recast his commander, Plagon. It enters and Matt draws 2 cards. He casts Mystic Lemora. In response, Kyle casts Cyclonic Rift, targeting Najeela. In response, Jay casts Force of Will, paying a life, exiling the blue card, countering Rift. Then Lemora resolves and Matt gives the turn to Jay. Jay draws and plays the Gemstone Caverns. He moves to combat and attacks Pearson with Najeela and his warrior. Najeela triggers and Jay creates 2 warriors tapped and attacking Kyle. They both take it, and in his second main phase, Jay casts Diabolic Intent, sacrificing a warrior as an additional cost. Remora triggers and Matt draws. Then Jay fetches up a card into his hand. He passes. Kyle draws, misses his land drop, and passes the turn. Pearson draws and plays a Bloodstained Mire. He cracks it, pays a life, and fetches up a volcanic island onto the battlefield. He casts his commander, Thrasios, Triton Hero. Pearson passes the turn. During his upkeep, Matt pays to keep his Remora. During his draw step, he takes the damage through his mana vault. In his main phase, he plays an island for turn. He casts Mox Diamond, discarding a snow-covered plains. He casts Flesh Duplicate. It enters as a copy of Thrasios. Matt ends his turn. Jay draws and casts Grim Hireling. In response, Matt casts Flare of Denial for its alternate cost, sacrificing Thrasios. In response, Jay casts Fierce Guardianship for its alternate cost, targeting Flare. Remora triggers and Matt draws. Fierce counters Flare and Grim Hireling resolves. Jay attempts to move to combat and, in response, Pearson casts Submerge for its alternate cost, targeting Grim Hireling. Remora triggers and, in response, Jay casts Swan Song targeting Submerge. Remora triggers and Matt draws. In response, Kyle casts Chain of Vapor targeting Najeela. Remora triggers and, in response, Jay casts Pact of Negation targeting Chain. Remora triggers and Matt draws. In response, Matt casts a Chain of Vapor of his own, targeting Grim Hireling. With no further interaction, Chain bounces Grim and Jay doesn't continue the chain. Then Pact counters Chain, Matt draws from Remora, Swan Song counters Submerge, Pearson creates a 2/2 bird, then Matt draws from Remora again. Then Jay attacks Kyle with Najeela and 2 warriors. Najeela triggers and Jay creates 3 more warriors tapped and attacking Kyle. Unfortunately stopped, Jay passes. At the end of Jay's turn, Kyle casts Born Upon a Wind. Remora triggers and Matt draws. Born resolves and Kyle draws. The turn moves to Kyle. Kyle draws, takes no actions, and passes. Pearson draws and casts his commander, Krark the Thumbless. He pays 2 life to help cast Phyrexian Metamorph. It enters as a copy of Plagon. It enters and Pearson draws 2 cards. He plays Thundering Falls as his land for turn. It triggers and Pearson surveils the steam vents into his graveyard. He passes. At the end of Pearson's turn, Matt casts Born Upon a Wind, drawing a card. During his upkeep, Matt lets his Remora die. During his draw step, he takes a damage to his mana vault. In his main phase, he plays a snow-covered island for turn. He casts Esper Sentinel. He casts Displacer Kitten. In response, Pearson pays 2 life to cast Gut Shot, targeting Esper Sentinel. Krark and Esper trigger, Matt draws, then Pearson loses his Krark roll, bouncing Gut Shot back to his hand. Still in response, Pearson pays 2 life to cast Gut Shot, targeting Esper. Krark triggers, he loses the roll, bouncing it again. He pays 2 life to cast Gut Shot yet again. Krark triggers, he finally wins the flip, copying it, targeting one of Jay's warriors. Esper and the warrior die, then Displacer Kitten resolves. Matt passes, discarding to hand size. During his upkeep, Jay pays for his Pact of Negation. He draws and moves to combat. He attacks Kyle with Najeela and his 4 warriors. Najeela triggers and Jay creates 5 warriors tapped and attacking Kyle. In response, Kyle flashes in a Valley Floodcaller. He blocks a warrior and takes the rest. Jay passes. At the end of Jay's turn, Matt casts Ephemerate, targeting his Plagon. Displacer Kitten triggers and Matt targets his Mox Amber. In response, Kyle flashes in a Mox Amber of his own. It resolves, then Matt's Mox Amber flickers, then Ephemerate resolves. Plagon flickers and Ephemerate exiles. Plagon enters and Matt draws 2 cards. Still in the end step, Matt taps Mana Confluence to cast Pat to exile, targeting Krark. Kitten triggers, targeting Mox Diamond. Diamond flickers and Matt discards an Otawara, Soaring City. Then Path resolves, Krark is exiled, then Pearson fails to find a basic land. The turn moves to Kyle. Kyle draws and plays a Steam Fence, into play untapped, paying 2 life. He passes. Pearson draws and plays a Scalding Tarn. He cracks it, pays a life, and fetches up a Taiga onto the battlefield. He casts Imperial Recruiter. It enters, and he fetches up a Spellseeker into his hand. He casts Arcane Signet. He casts Spellseeker. It enters, and Pearson fetches up a Lightning Bolt into his hand. He casts Lightning Bolt, targeting Displacer Kitten. In response, Matt pays 2 life to cast Mental Misstep, targeting Bolt. Kitten triggers, targeting Plagon. In response, Kyle casts Swan Song, targeting Misstep. Swan Song counters Misstep, Matt creates a 2/2 bird, Kitten flickers Plagon, and he draws 2 cards. Still in response to Bolt, Matt casts Flusterstorm, with all copies targeting Bolt. Kitten triggers, flickers Plagon, Plagon enters, and Matt draws 2 cards. Fluster counters Bolt, and Pearson passes the turn. During his upkeep, Matt casts Ephemerate from exile through Rebound, targeting Plagon. Kitten triggers, flickering Mana Vault. Ephemerate flickers Plagon, and Matt draws 2 cards. He draws and casts Shield Sphere. He plays a Command Tower for turn. He casts Sidisi's Faithful. He casts Ristic Study. Kitten triggers, targeting Plagon. In response, Pearson casts Mindbreak Trap for its alternate cost, targeting Study. Trap exiles Study, then Kitten flickers Plagon, and Matt draws 3 cards. He casts Mockingbird, where X equals 2. It enters as a copy of Spellseeker. It triggers, and Matt fetches up a Retraction Helix into his hand. He casts Retraction Helix, targeting his bird token. Kitten triggers and flickers Mana Ball. He casts Touch the Spirit Realm. Kitten triggers, flickers Plagon, and Matt draws 4 cards. In response, Matt holds priority and casts an offer you can't refuse, targeting his own Touch the Spirit Realm. Kitten triggers and flickers Mana Ball. Then offer counters Touch, and Matt creates 2 treasures. He casts Valley Floodcaller. He taps his bird token through Retraction Helix, bouncing Mana Vault back to his hand. He recasts Mana Vault. Kitten and Valley Floodcaller trigger. Matt untaps his bird, then Kitten flickers Plagon, and Matt draws 4 cards. Matt presents a loop of floating mana, then bouncing his mana vault through Retraction Helix, then recasts it, ignoring his Kitten triggers for now. He adds Infinite Colorless. He does the same thing with Mox Amber, netting Infinite Blue. He presents another loop of the same thing, except for now each time he flickers Plagon with Displacer Kitten, drawing 4 cards each time. He draws through his deck. He casts Thrasios Oracle. Oracle enters, and Matt wins the game. Ladies and gentlemen, what a match. Congrats to Matt on his win. He gained an early dominant position and managed to hold on to it throughout the game. Once he landed Displacer Kitten, he was able to gain advantage, combo off, and close it out. This game showcases tonight an emerging concern with CEDH. Seats 1 and 2 held an extremely dominant board presence throughout the entire game. Seats 3 and 4 both felt like they were just playing into a disadvantageous position the entire game. Basically, they were given a choice: not interact and lose, or interact and still lose, or at least put themselves even further behind than they were before. These types of decisions lead to very unfun play patterns in games where you're not going first or second. Now, this isn't to say that CEDH is not fun or there isn't any point in playing this format anymore, far from it. But make no mistake, it's less fun than ever to play in Seats 3 and 4. We hope that Wizards has taken notice of these conversations online and consider it in future decisions of the format. The most valuable card in tonight's game, sponsored by Luxury Playstyle, goes to Displacer Kitten. Plagon drew a lot of cards and Fire Covenant wiped the board with 1 spell, but this card was really what turned on the engines for Matt tonight. Kitten allowed Matt to continually gain resources simply by casting spells. The snowball effect allowed him to protect his board and eventually combo off and win the game. Well, that about wraps it up for this episode. Tune in next time and we duke it out to see who will be king of the competitive EDH table. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.